Hey, what's up? And welcome in everybody to one of the very first episodes of the Be Your Best Show. The BeYourBestShow.com it's already out. And this show is all about helping you be your absolute best, specifically focused on entrepreneurship and leadership and all the great things that we're able to accomplish. I'm going to be revealing behind the scenes a lot of progress that has been made over the last couple of weeks. There's so much work that goes into building these types of shows, to having a quality studio set up, to making sure that you know exactly what type of value you're providing and who your audience is. My audience is not too different than the diary of a CEO. Yes, Stephen Bartlett is the champion and king of this space right now. And I have no desire to challenge that as much as recognize that there's 8 billion people out there who need a ton of help. And we need more voices like Stephen's and mine to step up and reveal how is it that we do what we do? What are the goods, the bads, and the uglies behind the scenes that we have to go through in order to build brands effectively that are also profitable, productive, and inspiring people to make great changes and making great impacts on our economy and beyond. So there's so much there. You'll notice that I've got the Vision Pros logos and assets set up. I won't lie to you guys. I went in to use our brand studio for the Be Your Best Show, and I got lost. I couldn't figure out how to put my little title underneath the name. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is why I have a team. And I'm so grateful for my team and all they do to help me with the production on the other shows. So as you may know, Vision Pros Live is a top 5% global show now. It's in its second year, I believe. It's been at that stage for a little while now. And we've got different co-hosts for that show. We're going to be finding co-hosts as morph co-hosts for the Vision Pros Live show. We've also got a show coming out for India specifically. We have a show for the Philippines. It's been on pause for a little bit. We're about to launch with some new co-hosts for that. We've got the Oportunidades Latina show, the one Sasha mentioned right here. That is well underway, and Luisa and Cynthia are doing an awesome job of hosting on that show. But the whole premise of the show is to encourage you to be raw and real. And so, no, I do not have my best hairstyle. I got my man bun in today. I don't have my best clothing on, but I'm at my best right now, and I'm excited about it. And my best may not be as good as your best. Congratulations. You can cheer for yourself and go build. But I've got some really great announcements about what the heck is going on with our advertising strategy. I'm literally going to reveal what just happened with Facebook ads. In fact, I'll reveal the secret. We're not getting a 1 cent cost per view anymore. That's like the holy grail of marketing, in my opinion. That is like the best that you can know. We're getting a 0.003 cent cost per view on our marketing, on our advertising right now for the Oportunidades Latinas program that we just launched. It's insane. I'm going to show what the ad looks like. I'm going to show behind the scenes so you can see the metrics. And these are on campaigns we're running $1 a day. So it is premature to say that we can sustain this level of attraction, but it's possibly going to get better. I don't know. Even if we hit 1 cent cost per views like we usually do, that is a phenomenal rate of return. And again, I'm going to walk you through what that means, and you're going to see a calculator beyond it. Today's going to be a lot of screen sharing. And so without further ado, we'll kind of get right into that. I'm going to play a little promotion reel for Vision Pros, of course, and then we'll dive in. All right, welcome in to Vision Pros Live with Jackson Callum. I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. What's up, everybody? Again, what Vision Pros? This is the Be Your Best Show. That's what it's all about: optimization and moving forward, and helping people understand the reality that your assets are valuable to those who are coming and find it valuable. You don't have to create a path for whoever wants perfect. Create a path of progress that allows people to follow your path along with you, and just make sure the path is a bit easier for them, and they'll stick along for the journey. I've seen this at Entrepreneur on Fire with John Lee Dumas. And by the way, I'm headed to Puerto Rico in a couple of weeks, and I'm getting ready to call him and say, hey, dude, we're ready to run back in Puerto Rico exactly what we did over in Panama. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. And I've seen a Video Power Marketing where Jake sent me his courses, and it was right when he became the YouTube ad expert. Well, he became one of the YouTube ambassadors, one of the first ambassadors. he sent me his course, and it was so raw and real and needed so much work, so much work. Yet Ryan Deiss put him on stage and called him the YouTube ad expert of the world with those raw assets. It's so important that while we respect and admire, again, great brands like Diary of a CEO, he understands too. Stephen just posted about this the other day, the reality that there's so many growing pains, there's so much to learn. And while he got voted #1 international podcast for the South by Southwest votes just a couple weeks ago, he's still got a long ways to go to grow his show. And he knows all about the value of all the things that he did to get to where he is. My hope is that this show will motivate you to realize it does not matter how many of the people out there are better than you or where you're at. There's so much room to provide value to so many other people who are looking at you, and maybe they're laughing, maybe they're jeering, maybe they're confused, maybe they aren't sure if you're going to stick with it and if you're going to be another fizzle out show, but you might be the one that inspires them to get on their own track and to get up and do their own things. And I'm hoping that this show will do the same exact thing for each of you, that it will inspire you to be your best self, no matter what that looks like. And again, this is going to be geared more towards the entrepreneur, the leaders, the executive leaders as well. Anybody will benefit tremendously from this that is in that vein. So let's start sharing some screen time. All right, so here we go. We're going to go into just like a random look at some of the tabs that I have open here, because I've got like a zillion tabs open. You see that across the top, these tabs, I mean, most of them are active within the last 3 days of work. And I have a computer that can handle the amount of information that is currently open. And that's important when you're working at this level on this many projects. And it allows me to have a balance. I can just walk away at the end of the day. I don't have to close things out. I don't have to make my tabs look fancy. No, I just move on with my life and then come back. And I have an organization system that helps me structure where I start off. So this is behind the scenes of one of my latest assets. And I know it's a spreadsheet. Yeah, spreadsheets are incredibly valued. That's how we build most of our greatest solutions. Is we start by building in a spreadsheet. And this is so brilliant. One of the things that we were struggling with we have about 30 team members that work with us on building out our companies, and I'm always coming up with new ideas and new projects, and we need to make sure that those projects get assigned, and we have to make sure that our directors are in a position to assign them to others. And I'm not going to walk you through much of this. If you need step walkthrough on this, then you need to actually hire and work with a team like mine or like another that's going to help you through the process of the basics. So you need to take some courses on LinkedIn Learning and I don't know, there's other course platforms out there, Udemy and beyond, that can help with that. But the assignment is noted, and this is for the next 1 to 2 weeks. And then these assignments are marked as red because, well, we need procedures, resources, and templates. Thank you, Dan Martell. Right. And we need to have the minutes log of how many projected minutes per day, week, or month do we think will be necessary for this assignment? Who's the supervisor and who's the direct report? And the supervisor and the direct report, it's their job to then either delegate it to somebody else and call them the supervisor and teach them how to do it, or to decide they want to take that on themselves. Either way, it's an important opportunity for them to start mapping out, well, what are the procedures, resources, and templates going to be to tackle this? And if they don't know, they can come back and talk to me. But you can get an idea of what it is we're preparing for and planning and building just by looking at these and wondering, I bet he's going to Puerto Rico. He mentioned that, and they must be planning a campaign related to that. Then go ask ChatGPT, my friends, and say, if I was going to Puerto Rico as a business person who's helping people find work, what types of campaigns might I prepare for that trip? And ChatGPT will pretty much reveal my life to you. And what types of things we do. It is so cool how artificial intelligence can help you plan out so many different opportunities. And you'll notice here it says trainees. Options include Vanessa and Christopher, who are brand new and just got hired on the team. And Vanessa's actually going to Puerto Rico with me. That's going to be so awesome to have her help there, and her testimony for what we did in Panama. And then there's Davis, Joel, Hennessy's, or you can ask Cindy, who else could be assigned to these different realities that we want to put into place. And that leads me to this next part. One of the things that we need to plan out was Vanessa accompanying me to Puerto Rico. What's the cost going to look like on that? What liabilities exist, etc. We had lots of things to plan there. So if we look over here at what's the budget to get Vanessa to Puerto Rico, right? All I did was ask ChatGPT that. All right, and ChatGPT plans out the information. In fact, let's go up to the top there. I'm headed to Puerto Rico and I'm considering paying a friend or a team member to join me from Panama. How much will it cost me in total to cover their travel and expenses for 8 days? And it gives me the breakdown. It was super fast and easy to pull that information together. I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. I'm going to close this one out. My team and I will resurrect that tomorrow. So all you people who are like, you're such a tab hoarder. There you go. I'm working with you on that now. And then there's this wonderful page. It is amazing what our team has done to optimize this page over the last 72 work hours. So that means they worked on this on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to get the new ads launched, to be able to test our advertising for Oportunidades Latinas podcast. And that's actually not the right logo. So we'll need to change that out too for Oportunidades Latinas as a program. And all this is about is helping people understand that they can come here to learn about work and becoming virtual assistants and get trained for free on this. And also inviting Latinos to be expert guests, or rather not expert guests, inspiring guests on that show. And so one of the great things here is we're training Carlos and Tatiana to take over the advertising responsibilities or ad management responsibilities for our clients and to train others up on that. Well, the neat thing is, instead of training them in a foreign language like I've done with my past team members, we worked really hard over the last 6 months to translate all of our documentation into Spanish. And that allows Tatiana and Carlos to train in their native language. In addition to that, because they're going to be running $1-a-day ads for these programs, it gave them the opportunity to also work as strategists. So if we go to the actual, that's not the right document. This is a document for, you're welcome to see these too, though. These are our detailed documents for tracking and seeing how do we take care of our guests on that show, and are we taking full advantage of making sure to invite those individuals to participate in all the other programs that we have available. Let's see if I can find, there we go. This is the document for what we call the Revenue Growth Workbook. Big shout out to Jake Larson, again, Video Power Marketing. He gives this away for free to a lot of people. He at least he used to. And this is way different than what he built out back in the day, but it was part of my growth phase, was learning about the blueprint we use at Video Power Marketing, which is known as, again, the YouTube ad experts of the world. They're some of the best in the business at YouTube ads. I was able to use those materials to teach myself through John Loomer and through who else do I want to give credit to on this? Social Media Examiner. We're going to Social Media Marketing World here, and on Saturday I'll be going to San Diego for that. I've been studying them for like 10 years. Pat Flynn, huge support and help. And so I've studied a lot of different materials, my friends, to get to a point where I understood not just the mechanisms, but I also studied the emotional intelligence side to see how do we get people to stop arguing about left brain and right brain, and is it EQ or IQ, and like all of that stuff matters and it's all important. I prefer harmony. That's why I named my oldest daughter Harmony. I would rather have the best of both worlds. And so we've built with those strategies, and it's helped us create and understand things at a new level. And it makes it so much easier to train my Spanish counterparts when everything that we build for these campaigns is built out in Spanish. So they know what landing pages to create, what copy is needed, how to build the value ladder, how to recognize the value ladder, what emotions go into play here, what types of metrics we want to hit, what types of return we might be able to anticipate based on what we learn along the process. So again, I'm not going to dive in on all that. That's all available, by the way, for free from us through firstclassbusiness.io. We're not hiding anything. We just know that most people are a little bit aren't dedicated enough. I'll reframe. I was going to say lazy, but aren't dedicated enough, aren't motivated enough, aren't inspired enough, don't have enough hope to realize that, yes, your business challenges are actually quite conquerable. And again, my Latinos put this ad together based on those materials. And I'm not going to dive any deeper into the materials because it's going to get late and I want to go to bed too, and do other things. But I want to show you guys the ads. So let's take a look at this document. Here's another perfect example of the way ChatGPT or other AIs can help you with your growth, right? This is a human resources job description for community development specialists, right? First, I had to ask ChatGPT what names for positions correlate with providing service to people who aren't necessarily customers or clients, but are in the learning process. And we're not selling them because we do not want to have a sales environment. We want people to be inspired to buy. What other types of job titles entail that level of customer success manager, client success manager style name. And the one that it came up with that I really loved was community development specialist, because that's exactly what they are. We want these individuals to help us build out the community. And I gave it one of our other job descriptions, like our CEO job description, which took me months to create and align. And that was a course across years of developing CEO positions and job descriptions for all sorts of different companies. And so the conglomerate of all that information, I was able to pack into ChatGPT and say, can you align this CEO job description and make sure you account for my brand, firstclassbusiness.io, and create a new job description for community development specialist that's aligned with it. Boom, done. It was so easy to then edit this description based on what I want this role to look like for our company. And I did so with the help of our C-level executives as well. It's not a one-stop, it's not a one-man show. There's so much that needs to be done in order for growth to occur. Shout out to Luis Escobar as well, by the way, who the other day called out. And this is a man who owns like 7 or 8 co-working spaces in San Antonio, and he's calling out these organizations like not necessarily the chamber, but organizations like chambers that are not good at doing much beyond throwing parties. They're not really advocating. They're not really helping the businesses grow. They're not really educating them on things that matter. And we'll go figure. 96% of businesses are losing within 10 years and 4% are surviving, and most of them don't know what they're doing. So the education is lacking because most people don't know how to win at scale. And the ones who do are busy winning at scale and don't typically create educational programs, unlike the Academy of First Class Business. So there's so many fun ways to get involved and move things forward. And this is yet another example. So what does all this have to do with being your best? Well, you have to learn how to play your best and play with the best tools in order to be your actual best. And I just want to give you a behind the scenes walkthrough of all the things that have led to us, again, launching this strategy and the little types of things that have come up along the way to kind of distract me or help with the process. And so one of the things that Junaid and I were planning out was where are we going to stay for social media marketing world, and we delegated that to the team. And he found on booking.com a great place called the Sophia Hotel. Shout out to them. That's where we'll be staying when we're in San Diego. But the team it was their first time trying to build this out, manage the process of finding Airbnbs and other units. Well, they accidentally focused just on Airbnbs, and he doesn't like Airbnb. I do, but neither here nor there. We found a great hotel, and their presentation was in a Google Doc format, and it wasn't very pretty, and it was kind of hard to go through. So we gave that information to ChatGPT and said, "Hey, can you recreate this as a spreadsheet for us?" And this is all the information they had gathered about the different places that we might stay, and we might rent a place that has 5 to 8 people, and you notice that it puts it in the spreadsheet format: 10 to 12 people, 14 to 15 people. And then additional considerations, right? All that information I said, can you turn into a Google Sheet? And I wasn't paying for ChatGPT. My account's been off for a couple months, but it's been doing a great job of just providing what we've needed up to this point without having to pay for it. And so I ran out of memory somewhere along these lines, or said that I was having a hard time updating the memory based on, another project I was doing. It's over here, Puerto Rico minimum wage. I'm not going to dive into that right now. But there's a lot of unfair realities that Puerto Ricans have to face thanks to minimum wage and compliance issues with hiring from that unofficial territory, I think it's called, compared to hiring people in Colombia or Nicaragua. And again, that's something I'm going to be talking about with people in Puerto Rico. But the information that it was able to help me generate, and then it was able to help me build out a process for making sure that the documentary we're creating for Oportunidades Latinas is, all the questions we might want to ask and the testimonies we want to do. It did an excellent job today in like 30 minutes, training me on all things launching a documentary without me really knowing anything about that process. And again, I know enough to be dangerous, but I certainly don't work for Netflix. And so that's another process that got built out. Let's go to this one. And this particular process is about, that same exact thing. So I want to skip past that. Let's go look at these ads. And so here's one of those ads, and I'm going to click through back to the ad sets for campaigns. And again, this is one of the big reveals. Not many companies out there. Shout out to Nick Therio, who does reveal how he runs ads, and he runs ads in a very similar fashion to we do. But if any of you are noticing this and starting to get it, you should be getting excited. If you know anything about advertising, we're getting a 1 cent cost per click. This is like unheard of in the market. It is crazy. And again, this is on a very small budget right now, but it is an extremely promising sign. And if we were getting a $1 cost per click, that would be amazing. We're getting a 1 cent. It would be amazing if we had a $4 cost per click. This is what we used to get at Video Power. We are getting a 1 cent cost per click. That's insane. And I'll show you again the ads so you can see that. In fact, let's go take a look at that right now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to dive in on that and we'll see the actual ad itself. And I'll be in the background messing around here. All right, so I know y'all didn't understand anything on the ad if you don't speak Spanish, but the ad is to invite Latinos to come find work, come find training opportunities, and to also come be on our podcast. I might have mentioned something about that, but that right there, what you just heard me talk about, it's an irresistible offer. We're giving away something completely for free. We've organized it super well. It's incredibly attractive and up to age with modern styles, and because it's hitting all of those points, we are getting massive distribution from the Facebook algorithm. And it hasn't even started yet. As soon as comments start coming in, as soon as likes start coming on it, as soon as people start to share that ad, the algorithm will continue to reward us and say, this is phenomenal. And meanwhile, what my team will do, and again, thank you, Nick Therio, for being brave enough and bold enough to educate the mass market on what the big companies out there already know. They already all know it. They don't need to teach it to the world. They're already living examples of it. But the more value you provide, the more the algorithm rewards you, and supply and demand becomes in your favor, because Facebook and other platforms, they want great quality ads that will inspire people to stay and come back to their platforms. And so our team will be focused on outperforming that ad set every single week, trying to create new assets to outperform that one. Meanwhile, we just keep that ad campaign running because it is winning, and it's winning very, very well. So there's no reason for us to ever shut that advertisement down. This is called the compound effect and building out compound interest, but in the form of advertising versus a traditional bank. And that is the beauty of what advertising can generate, so long as you understand how to scale it and you have a scalable audience who is going to value that process. So feel free to argue all about that in the comments, and where you might be confused on that or not understand where things go. And my team and I will do our best to try to answer every question that comes in related to that. And of course, feel free to subscribe to the channel, because we'll be coming out with shorts to explain these things in detail, and we'll be creating videos to honor people's questions and bring those up, and we can tag you in those responses too. We want to make sure the world becomes educated, because as the world becomes educated in these matters, you become empowered. And they become empowered to win really, really big. And a lot of people, and so people might think, well, like, how do you win on that, Jackson? Well, a lot of people want somebody else to do the work. And so they'll pay for us to do it. We'll get ours. I'm not worried about that. People will come and want to pay us and hire us to get things done for them and with them. And as long as they're good, ethical people who are loving and patient and persistent and consistent and reliable, as long as they live by the same principles that we want to live by and we strive to live by, then we can create extremely lucrative partnerships and opportunities for winning. So the concept of being our best, while also allowing other people and encouraging other, helping other people to be their best, is to win-win. It creates new abundance. And people think, well, no, Jackson, there's limited amounts of dollars in the world. And while that's technically true, that's not the only asset and the only resource that exists in the world. There's not a limited amount of oxygen. We are doing just fine with that. And if you plant an orange tree and I plant an apple tree at my house, then just because you give me an apple and I give you an orange doesn't mean that we're only able to have that one. No, the tree is growing and producing more fruit. And so that's also how economics should work when it's done right, when it's built based on abundance. And I'm hoping that each of you that are watching this can start to lean more into that principle of abundance and realize that if we create business models like farming, right, where new assets are being generated and created, then abundance is being created for everybody. And that's exactly why we do what we do. So that was the ad. Let's take a brief moment too to watch an even cooler reality. The next thing you're about to see is day 3, a little bitty trailer about day 3 of Panama, what it was that we were doing there and how it is that we were helping these individuals. I went to Panama not knowing anybody, by the way. I had met somebody in a language learning app, and she became my friend and I got to meet her, but she didn't get to go to the event. And I met some missionaries. I called some missionaries because that's one of the best ways to protect yourself on a visit to a foreign country is to get friends, find out who they know and which. There's a huge church network, Church Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I got to give a shout out and be grateful for my own church. It allowed me to connect. I connected with bishops and church leaders from different areas, but I had to call them and say like, hey, I'm this crazy dude from New Braunfels, Texas, and I got this program that's free to help people. And they were nervous. They didn't know who I was and what I was doing and why I was doing it. And there's an important separation between church and business and finances and all that. So it was definitely a out of the box reality for everybody I had to meet randomly. Now I'm doing the same thing in Puerto Rico, and I just met one of them today to say, hey, we're coming to Puerto Rico, and we would be happy to invite your people to go to your congregation to be part of this. But it's their territory. I'm the visitor in this. But check out what happened with Panama, even with people who didn't know who I was and had no proof and had never seen me before. Look at the transformation that took place. Awesome. I I had I want to say so much fun. I was exhausted afterwards, but I did. I enjoy to be able to see the transformation take place, to see people who come in arms folded and like not sure and wondering, and then to see them within a few hours crying with joy because they understand things they've never been taught before and see opportunities in ways they've never learned them before. And we gave them headshots and we did LinkedIn. We helped them set up LinkedIn accounts and we got them into our Facebook training group and beyond. Like there's so many valuable realities that transpire for these individuals who've been overlooked, forgotten. The assets haven't quite been provided to the same degree to them, and they haven't been educated on those assets the same way we do here. Most of them had never used AI before either. And like I said, a lot of them never heard of LinkedIn. Most of them do not have LinkedIn profiles. They don't see the benefit. They don't get to build that and then get the dots connected for them to get an employment opportunity typically. So not without the type of training that we provide for free. And our training is absolutely world class. And speaking of, you get to see behind the scenes of that too. We're gonna be doing our best to influence and inspire a massive. I mean, we already are trying to inspire massive change at the level of entrepreneurial impact to where we can actually turn the light switch on for entrepreneurs and make them successful. And I think we're within 5 years of being able to do that for any entrepreneur in the service industry. But backing down from that high horse a little bit, right? And that challenge, and we got lots to do to make that happen. We're also striving to influence and inspire the SaaS world and the software as a service world to change their business models, because I'm sick of getting punished as a small business for the amount of users that we're trying to grow our company with. Every time we add a new user, we get hammered by fees from great brands who mean well, but have, to me, a broken business model in like Slack and Google Workspace and beyond. And I understand that in some cases, like with Google Workspace, I mean, I very much trust the budgeting that they've done to help us as business owners grow what we grow. They provide a massive amount of infrastructure to us. And I don't want to take for granted Slack or slap any SaaS owner in the face or a SaaS company and say, hey, you guys aren't fair. You're crooks or criminals. No, they're not. They provide incredible values to us. But if I can inspire them to switch to a model where we are charging per company instead of per user, that will help small businesses compete with the giants that we cannot compete when all the software providers are charging us $7 here, $25 here, $89 here, or beyond, when you've got 20 different providers doing that, the small businesses do not have the ability to take off with that kind of overhead. So if you're a small business, advocate with me on this, but also consider supporting our model. First off, you're going to be able to support it for free because everybody who's seen this, while it's just barely released, we're going to be doing a limited time offer where we just get free access to the Academy of First Class Business. And you can get in there and use the Leadership Academy to help you grow. It is world-class training. I've been trained by some of the best in the world in many different regards. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as a missionary, it's the fastest growing church in the world. I got trained by all their leadership materials for 2 relentless years. Then after that, I went to BYU and got trained a little bit there. Then I went to Lifetime Fitness, publicly traded, one of the best fitness facilities in the world, 4 super hard, rigorous training days on sales. And then I worked with Charlie Chang as one of our board members at the Pivot Point, and he was VP of sales at IBM, and IBM hires the best of the best. And he was helping me build out onboarding processes for new clients. And then there's Restaurant Connect, where we trained the best restaurants in the world on reservation management software, and everything from Kiawah Island Golf Resort to the Master Restaurant in Augusta. I was part of the process of training those teams to take care of those guests and making sure that their systems were on point for running their establishments. And restaurants are some of the hardest business models in the world to run. There is not a harder business model, in my opinion, than that. Even SaaS, you name it, I've probably worked in it or part of it or consulted with it. And why is it so important? Because I had to read books like The Effective Executive and Raving Fans and 1 Minute Manager and The E-Myth and 5 Dysfunctions of a Team and Tribal Leadership. And there's so many books on that shelf behind me that have been critical, and on my audio catalog as well, have been critical to help me understand how to build companies. And I've packaged all of that to the best of my ability, and continue to do so, into the Leadership Academy of First Class Business. And it's exactly what we use to train our teams. And again, another big shout out to Patrick Lencioni and the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. That's a poster designed based on his methodologies that gives him credit for that as well. And one of our days, I think it's day 6 in the Leadership Academy, every single person who goes through that is required to read the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. That's how powerful that book is. And so I'm going to show you behind the scenes again of that process and how that's come together. And our advertising strategy ties right into all of this. And we'll come back to how that works out. But let's go ahead and take a look. So here's the Be Your Best show, right? Here's the future competitor to with Diary of a CEO. Yes, we are going to do hardcore interviews on this, where we talk in depth, and we probably are going to go for at least 90 minutes and probably to 3 to 4 hour interviews. It depends on how crazy, relentless, and passionate the people are who I get to meet through that experience. But we're going to be reaching out to the best authors. We're going to be looking out to reach out to the best leaders. We are not going to bring people on the show who want to hide and who want to not reveal exactly what they're up to, and have the transparent conversation of tough talks that will make people probably squirm in their seats a little bit as they get very real and raw and authentic with us about those topics. So let me move past that now, and we're going to move past the revenue growth workbook a little bit. But this is, again, how we go about the strategy and making sure we train our entrepreneurs in the strategy, because they got to buckle up. And here, let's take a look at this. Let's challenge some of the realities. Again, we're not going to come back to this. We talk a lot about why this formula is a winning formula, even though it looks to somebody else like, well, wait, if you spent $500 and lost $500, didn't you lose? No, you didn't. I've got lots of training materials on that. And then the profit maximization formula, and how we model what Vistaprint does with upsells and downsells and cross sells and support to actually sell their high ticket, while the other system takes care of itself. They're not pushing it on people. They're allowing people to experience and go through it at their own pace. And this value ladder is what helps us build that. But if we spend $500 on ads and we hit these industry standard metrics based on this funnel, yes, you are looking at a $48,557 gross return. How the heck do you engineer something like that? Well, you reverse engineer it the way that we're doing it right here. And it takes money to make money. So it's not just about the $500. And this is where this gets so important. So let's just play with this and say, you know what, guys, as I said, we got not a 3 cent cost per view. We ended up hitting a 0, 0, a 300th of a cent. If I'm correct in the math, feel free to correct me, mathematicians. It doesn't really, um, it's something I need to get better at tracking, but that would put this in a position to where if we spent $500 on ads on that campaign and all these components were aligned, that would technically mean we'd have a $4.9 million gross return on that ad spend. And now, again, you've got to consider lifetime value. You've got to consider how did you come up with the offer amounts. But for those of you who are get rich quickers, you're going to miss the ball completely. You got to abandon that mentality. It's not healthy. It's not going to help you with growth. In fact, one of my counterparts, he was like, well, if that's the case, Jackson, then, if you're able to make this, then why don't you just spend the $500 now? Why don't you just spend $5,000 on this and maximize it? And I said, because you're missing the bigger picture. This is just about the amount of traffic that flows through and the amount of clicks that you get. But we don't have the capacity to take 63 appointments in a day right now. We don't have the team for that. And even if we did and we could close 24 of them, we don't have the capacity to take on 24 clients right now. We can take on 2 clients per week at this point. And so he's starting to see, and yes, there's always hidden variables. There are thousands of variables that have to be factored in for an infrastructure to be ready to benefit from that type of explosive growth. And it's so important that we acknowledge that and we turn away from these businesses and these entities that are trying to make everything quick and easy and simple and affordable. I mean, how many more ways can you find to say get rich quick? It's not healthy. It's not going to be helpful. So anyway, that said, let's move past that to, again, the greater strategy and what we're building and what we know we need to have in place in order to make this happen. I've been really impressed with the analytics available in LearnWorlds. We were using Kajabi for our course management, and I loved Kajabi's conference, and I really loved meeting the CEO of it, and I love what they stand for from a culture standpoint. And I'm hoping that LearnWorlds will learn from that because they by far have a superior system than Kajabi does. Kajabi has a better customer support team. Then there's Go High Level, and we had some of our courses built in Go High Level, and Go High Level is an incredibly valuable and essential component to everything that we're building, and we use it, but their learning management system is terrible. And I say that with all due respect, knowing and hoping that they will listen, because it doesn't matter what you vote for in their support system. Unfortunately, when you create a ticket system based on voting entrepreneurs, you put the power in the hands of General Pop. And General Pop, no, it does not know what is best for business growth. I learned that at Restaurant Connect. If I wanted to learn what was best for restaurants, I needed to mastermind with the top 10 performing restaurants that were on our platform. And they would teach us juicy things and details about how we could use our system to help them with growth that also in turn helped all of the other restaurants that did not know what they were doing for growth. And that's not casting shade at the little man. It's saying we all have different abilities to contribute, but we also have different abilities to learn, and we need to be maximizing our ability to learn. So this platform has been the best, and I could not have done this by myself at all. I would have failed miserably. I would have said, this system freaking sucks. The system didn't suck. I sucked. I do not build things like this. LearnWorlds is like the WordPress of website development. That's what it reminds me of. It's not like trying to build a Wix or a Squarespace page by yourself. And all you who've done that, you're not profitable. So stop patting yourselves on the back about it. It's not a good thing to be busy and broke. It's not. So we designed this. This is all in Spanish, and then we got an English version over here. And my team predominantly works in Spanish. So what we do is we cross-compare the different course platforms, and we specifically take the time to look at, well, I know the grass looks greener in these other systems compared to Go High Level or Kajabi, but in reality, it isn't always the case. And we need to take our time to make sure that we don't accidentally move on to another system that lacks some of the key essential pieces that Kajabi or Go High Level was providing for us. And you can tell right here that at the end of the day, we were really happy with LearnWorlds and what LearnWorlds was able to provide compared to these systems. We also compared it against other systems, and we were fairly frustrated with the support process. And again, I don't mean to be rude or trash anybody related to support. It's something that they can grow, and I'm hoping that our investment in their programs and our continued dialogue with them will help us continue to get more and more support from them. But we're not going to shy away from the reality that there's other providers out there. Just like if we were to evaluate a car, it is important to recognize that they are not all created equal. And when it comes to software, it's not like cars. Cars, they're pretty much close to all created equal, and you're paying for a brand symbol. But when it comes to LMS platforms, they're all very, very new and have different. And this is cool. My team did this since I added these programs here, which was like at the end of last week when I added a few more on here because we're still going to evaluate what's out there. We want to know so we can also help clients who are saying, well, we use Podium and well, we tried that too, and here's what we found. So it gives us a huge competitive advantage. But going back to LearnWorlds, their analytics is key. We need great analytics to know how well are our students performing in these courses. And while Kajabi claims they've got it, it's horrible for analytics. And while Go High Level is also trying to claim, no, it's even worse. They do not have the data that we need in order to really pay attention to our attrition rates and in order to really make sure that the people are benefiting from every single piece of content. And as Stu McLaren is famous for saving with tribes, and I'm so grateful for all that I learned from Stu and Tracy, child of Wishlist member, they taught us so much about courses with 100,000 plus courses they had on their platform, where the number one reason why people quit in courses is the same reason why most people won't watch this wonderful YouTube video and all the exposure that we're creating is because content overwhelm. They're overwhelmed by it. But I'm not trying to serve most people. I hope that most people will benefit from this. I'm trying to serve those who are capable of listening to all this for the sake of helping me help most people. Most people are not going to do it for themselves. So my team in the matter of the last 2 weeks has been migrating and transferring over 20 courses and building out a brand new environment where all of our courses are going to be combined on the same platform. I'm hoping that you catch some flaws. I'm also hoping that you comment about any flaws that you catch as we review and go through this. There are so many opportunities for optimization, but I am so happy with how fast they were able to pull this together. I know the hours that they put into this too. It was not easy. I would never recommend an entrepreneur try to build on this with themselves and by themselves. I highly recommend consulting with a company that has done this many, many times and getting help from companies like ours. So you can see here, this is the lesson on create your Loom. And if I hit next, it'll take me to the next lesson. This is the user interface for consuming the Leadership Training Academy. And it does the job. It gets everything done that we need here. And then it takes them on to the progress reports. And the progress reports are the backbone, super sauce secret of why our program is helping all of my team members transition from never having worked in as a virtual assistant before to becoming virtual assistants that walk circles around every virtual assistant you've ever met within a matter of weeks. And it's because of the quality of our training. And so they go through here and they submit these videos, and you submit these videos. This training is not for virtual assistants. This is for world-class leadership. Every single leader in the world should go through this training and would benefit from it. There's not one leader on the planet who would not learn amazing things by going through this and would not then have the power to turn around and delegate said lessons to every single person in their establishment. And that takes me back to the new change for the SaaS companies. As I mentioned before, I hope to change the SaaS model to where we are no longer charging companies per user, but rather charging a flat fee for the entire company, no matter how many users they have. And so what are we going to price this at? Well, out the gate, like I said, for a lucky few of the people who would really take advantage and come in, you can get free access right now. Just ask us for the access. But the next price point, brace yourself for it, $7 a month. That's what we're going to launch at. We're going to launch at $7 per month. I hope that doesn't inspire a bunch of you to say, oh, well, I'll pay attention to this later. Stop putting your success off. Such a bad idea for most of you. Some of you have legitimate concerns and needs and things you need to look at, but don't hesitate to come back to us if you see the prices change and negotiate. Be like healthy dialogue, healthy debate. Hey, can I get access to this? I'd really like to test it out or see it. Yes, you can do things like that with companies that are not out to get you. We're not trying to crush your companies. We're trying to help companies win. We're trying to help companies adopt great principles about leadership because you know what? We're tired of dealing with dysfunctional companies ourselves. We don't want to do it. We're saddened for the companies that don't understand key performance indicators or allowing their people to explore their passions and empowering their people to launch and build brands the same way we do for ours, and not knowing how healthy consulting works and having terrible listening skills and not understanding the value. Let me go out of that one over to the power of active listening skills, where it's not about, and in fact, you can see this one needs quite a bit of, what's it called? Formatting. So that one got a little bit overlooked, and that's okay. It's going to be so easy for the team to adjust and move forward. And I am so blessed to be the type of entrepreneur who sacrificed so much to build a great team. And it's not because I had a silver spoon in my mouth. It's not because it was easy for me. No, I had to go overcome most of the challenges that most entrepreneurs have to overcome when it comes to building teams. And I will give credit exactly where it's due. God. God is the only one who has allowed me to get to where I am, for good, for bad, for ugly. And I'm grateful for it because he helps me and teaches me what I need to know in order to continue to move my life forward, so long as I'm willing to align with what he does. And I try to do that to the best of my ability each day. As I fail miserably, I forgive myself and I keep moving, being my best self. And that's exactly what the show is about. I hope that all of you will continue to focus on just being your best self and accepting the outcome that comes with doing just that. So this training academy right here is just, again, the beginning stages. We've only been at this for a few years as far as pulling the assets together, putting it in different learning management systems, then changing learning management systems, and finding the right tools that empower our users to have the best results possible. And I'm really excited that you get to see behind the scenes, because I would have died to have all this information as long as I could come back. It would have been so great. I would have gone through all sorts of horrific punishment and torture to be able to have this to save my own family. Right? As many of you know, I'm twice divorced. And some of the challenges that we faced in this process was, one, I didn't know how to be a great leader. Two, I had to learn these things the hard way, and it's a toll that is a toll that it plays on your loved ones as they, they see you learn as you go along. And there's plenty of people who've been through far worse challenges whose marriages are still together, and there's people who've been through far worse challenges than me who or easier lives that aren't together anymore. So you can't just compare one variable in a reality. But what I'm trying to help other people do, I don't regret my path. I don't regret my journey. I know that what I learned when I was 21 and 24 and 28 all contribute to getting me to where I am so that I can have my best life possible. And I believe that I am on exactly that. But if there's a different 21-year-old, right, if there's a different 44-year-old, if I don't care how old you are, but the young ones, man, I feel for you, because I feel excited for you, because I'm like, man, if I could have had this level of insight and knowledge when I was in my early 20s, the what would be possible, would be probably insane to see these days. So take that for what it's worth. Use this to the best of your ability, all this information. Please let me know in the comments what you find most valuable about being able to see over the shoulders of somebody who's walked before you, and know that I am standing very much on the shoulders of the giants who helped me get here too. James Allen, right? One of the best mentors I've ever had, died in the 1800s, right? As a Man Thinketh, phenomenal book. There are both digital mentors that I don't know. There are physical mentors that I do know. There's friends and family members that have been, some of them nice and helpful, and some of them difficult and rude and awful. But all of those experiences help me get to learn all of these principles to where, keep it simple, I get to live my best life. And now you guys get to see the results and decide, are these the types of results that you want for your brands? Right? Do you want to be happy about your team and what you're doing with your team, and have a team that you're confident in building resources? Do you want to be able to, as I mentioned, we've got about 30 families on our different, on our payroll that we provide for their families to be able to provide for their loved ones. And then we have all the people who we don't provide for directly that come through the Leadership Academy, go through our digital ambassador program, get trained, get certified, and then can go get work. And in fact, one of my old team members who I love dearly, he's a brother to me, his name's Jaime. Jaime moved on at 8 months after working with us, and I gave him 1% of the company because of his commitment to help me build Vision Pros Live out. And he did a great job of making sure that he honored us in his 2 weeks. Well, he got an offer from an old company he worked with that he had very good relationships with, and they offered him a ton of money compared to what we were paying him. And so I supported him on that fully. And he even wanted to work part-time with us. And I said, no, I mean, like, I want you to get your balance on. You've worked really hard for us for a while, and let us learn how to sink or swim. That's what I wanted. And so I am looking forward to hopefully meeting Jaime in May when I go down to Colombia. That is going to be the amount of people that I'm going to get to meet on that experience that have helped us behind the scenes as virtual assistants for years now. The tears that are going to flow, the excitement, the adrenaline, the rush, the hugs, the love, all of that we get to experience is because of all of our commitment and desire to be loving, patient, persistent, consistent, and reliable to bridge the economic gap between North America, South America, and the rest of the world, and also be committed to our rally cry at First Class Business of creating a full appreciation for family and personal well-being within the workplace. That is so important for me to be able to create for others. And every family that comes in and works with me, I see it as a sacred responsibility on my part, I mean, all choked up, to do everything in my power to help them achieve their best lives. Because I know what it would have meant to me to be able to have my 4 kiddos permanently living in my house, and being able to spend the majority of my time with them instead of not getting to have the majority of my time with them, and maximizing the small windows of life that we do get to spend together. And each of you may have your own thoughts and feelings related to that, but what I know is I get to sleep really well at night when I go to bed knowing that I've done my best. And when I give my best, there's no more that I can possibly give to this world. And I hope that you have the opportunity to give your best and see what that feels like, because the peace and the joy and the self-love that comes with, it's something I wouldn't trade for the world. And I wish that for all of you. And I will look forward to seeing you whenever I do the next episode of the Be Your Best Show, or if you join us over on Vision Pros Live. We're going to go with the Vision Pros Live outro now, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building